Part 47 of the haul truck series. This is one of the brackets that I got picked up for the fuel tanks. This is the fourth one. What I had done is, as I had mentioned in the last video, I contacted the salvage yard to get a couple of them to test fit onto the truck to make sure that the tank would be located in the right positioning that I wanted it, and that they would work. So I got two of them, kind of test fitted it up against the truck, and contacted them and got two more of them. Ironically, or gladly, they came off of the same truck. But anyways, so I got 4 brackets. I only was able to get 3 straps. He only had 3 straps for me, but I can pick up another one at truck supply place. I'm going to jump into it. Like I said in the last video, that I thought that I would be having the springs off of the rear and have them cut, but I didn't get to that. Some other things came up that I wanted to do, so it'll all get done in the long run. So I went over to the truck salvage yard this morning and picked up them straps that they got for me. Now, again, as I said in the previous video, chapter 46, I only got 2 of these straps because I kind of wanted to test fit the tank onto the frame to see where it was going to fall in relationship to the sleeper and how far it was going to be underneath it. Now, basically, here is the bottom of the sleeper. So I actually have room. Now, understand that the thing goes up in here. It comes out and goes up and goes over. So I actually have room to be able to get the nozzle in there with that configuration. But one of the things that I'm kind of thinking of doing is, you can see how this thing is constructed. No, it can go up a little bit, and I think I am going to take it up a little bit. But what I think I'm going to do is put a piece of channel iron behind this thing that extends down to here, so that the channel iron would give this a little more support on the back also. Not wide channel iron. It's probably only going to be 4 inches wide by maybe 1.5 or 2 inches deep. Probably 1.5. 4 inches wide by 1.5 deep. And that will actually get my neck out a little farther. So the way that it is right now, I could probably get this thing off and go up in there. Now, given the fact that this thing goes up, so this has got to come up, and I could probably actually get the nozzle in there and fill the tank the way it is right now, even without notching this side. But I think I am going to try and notch that side, but let me figure out what I'm going to do. I just totally want to figure out exactly what I'm going to do, where I'm going to place these tanks, and I'll go from there. What I've done is taken the core of the bracket, the main bracket, not the strap, just the core of the bracket. There was a couple of brackets, sub-brackets off of it. I'm assuming to hold fuel lines, etc. I probably won't use them, but if I do, I'll clean them up. But what I did is took this bracket over, and there was a couple of places where there was some rust on it, I took it over to the bead blaster and just blasted it off a little bit. Gonna clean it up, take some acetone to it, clean it up, and put some primer on it. Get a coat of primer on it so that it's good. But I'll bring you back. Okay, so after I blasted that bracket, what I did is took it over to the welding bench. Just took a sander to it a little bit. Flapper disc, actually 86 on just the rough spots, and I got primer on it. So what I'll do is sand it down and paint it afterwards, but I'll do the same process to the other bracket too. While I was waiting for the primer to dry, I took that strap over there, and that 1/2-inch T-bolt that tightens the strap around the tank was in pretty rough shape. I just took it over to the vise and clamped it in there. It was hard to clamp in. I actually had to put it in the narrow vise jaws and clamp the bottom of it, because I'm not really sure how that T-bolt comes out of there without kind of opening up that stainless steel strap. But anyways, I put it in a short vise, choked it up, and ran a 1/2-inch tap down it. I'm sorry, 1/2-inch die down it, and just cleaned up them threads on it. But anyways, I'll sand that down, maybe shoot it with another coat of primer in preparation for paint and finishing. Okay, here's the second of the first tank brackets that I got cleaned up, sandblasted, and primed. Now, when I say the second of the first ones that I've got, the guy from Casey's, the truck salvage yard, called me Friday afternoon and said that he has got 2 more brackets for me. I had called him and told him that I needed 2 more. Now he's got 2 more brackets, but only 1 strap, but I can find another strap for it. So Monday morning I'll be going down there and picking those up. So the same process I'll be going through, cleaning them up, sandblasting them, priming them. Not sure what I'm going to do with paint yet, because I'm not really sure what color I'm going to paint the frame yet. Okay, I came back from lunch, and inside my door was 2 boxes, and apparently the airbags for the front of the haul truck. So what I'm going to do is I'll set up the tripod, put the camera on it, and do a little unboxing, and you can see them for the first time like I see them. Okay, I'm not really sure why they've got 2 different size boxes. It appears that it's the same part number on both boxes, but maybe they just kind of ran out of boxes to pack them in. Okay, I don't know where I left off, but I got sidetracked and got into something else. So there it is. Let me unbox the other one, just make sure it's the same thing. We'll take it over to the truck and take a look at it. It's got internal pipe threads too. I wonder if that's a nut. So a bolt over there, maybe a nut there. Kind of does look like probably 3/4 fine, but let me not get into that right now. Let's just take it over to the truck and kind of see what it looks like in there. So that's the bag sitting in there. I gotta tell you, you know, there was those little plastic caps over the air thing, and I tried to compress it down, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, dimension isn't even close to what they said it was for height, because it wouldn't compress, and there's a bump stop inside of the bag, and I thought it was hitting that. Actually, it was compressing the air. It wouldn't let it out of that plastic thing, and it was compressing the air in there enough to hold it out. Stupid me. But anyways, there it is. It's a little bigger than I thought it was. They said the outside diameter was 8 inches. I didn't realize that they were just talking about the plate in the center. That plate is 8 inches in diameter. The bag is actually 12 inches in diameter. So a little bigger than I thought it was, but it'll work. Okay, over here at the haul truck. Yesterday I got these airbags in, as I had discussed in previous videos. So now what I've got to do is figure out how I'm going to mount them. What I've got to do is I've kind of addressed the center line of this bracket, the axle bracket that it's probably going to be mounted off of, with the center line up here onto the frame, so that I've got a reference point that I can go off of figuring out how I'm going to mount it. So one of the things that's got to be taken into consideration, this will be the top half, and this thing is a mounting lug and plus an air port with a threaded hole for a mounting lug on the other side opposite it. And on the bottom of it, there is just 2 mounting bolts. So on the bottom of it, what I'm going to have to do is figure out some way of coming up with a plate that goes across here that if you had to change those U-bolt brackets, won't interfere with that, with being able to change the U-bolt. So in other words, I couldn't build it up and put a plate across this way, because you'd never be able to get the U-bolts out. So the plate will have to go across that way and be rigid enough to hold it, and up high enough so that it keeps the bottom plate of the airbag off of the top of the U-bolts. So it's not just riding on the U-bolts, but up high enough to keep it. And then kind of the same way up here, but this wouldn't be as hard because you're not limited to having to remove something like you are on the bottom. But anyways, I just wanted to show that to you. And talk about some of the things that I've got to take into consideration when doing that. What I'm going to do is shut you off, but I just want to keep that in the back of my mind so that I know what's going on. But my first thing that I'm going to do is make up some tank support brackets for the side of the mounting brackets for the fuel tanks. So let me shut you off and I'll take you over and show you that. Okay, so back here at the fuel tanks, and I showed you videos where I had the fuel tank brackets supported against the tank and how far it held it off. Well, one of the things that we've got to come up with is this fill neck is going to be underneath the sleeper, and I've got to be able to get the fuel nozzle in underneath the sleeper and into the fill neck, be able to get that cap off, get the nozzle up in there and get it into it. So one of the things that you need to do is take into consideration how far that sleeper sticks out. And so the farther that I get it out, now that's how it is. The farther that I get it out, the better off I will be. I've got an elevation problem, but that can be addressed later. So one of the things that I thought about doing is, instead of mounting the bracket tight to the frame, I'm going to put a piece of channel iron, not real thick, just 1.5 inch channel iron in there, and kind of move it out a little farther. It's not going to get the tank out past the sleeper, but it will help bring that fill neck out closer to the edge of the sleeper. So let me take you over and I'll show you the channel iron that I have bought for this process. So here we are over the welding bench, and this is one of the brackets. This is one of the 2 newer brackets that I haven't cleaned up and gotten prepped or primed yet for installation. But basically, here's what the bracket is. This flat part is a part that goes against the frame rail. And basically, the bolts that go through this into the frame rail are the only thing that holds that bracket to the frame of the truck. That fuel tank is self-supported by the shape of this bracket and the straps that go around it to hold it. Now, there's 2 of these brackets per tank, but then again, we're talking that's 120 gallons of fuel, 110 workable gallons, but let's take 120 gallons. That 120 gallons of fuel is going to weigh over 800 pounds. So there's a lot on this. So my quest to bring that out a little farther using channel iron, and what I got was 4 by 1.5 inch channel iron. So it's going to bring that tank out another 1.5 inches, and it's pretty solid channel iron, probably 3/16 thick. Here's what I was thinking of doing. This is going to go up against the frame like this, where the frame is, but it's going to extend back down again. And what I'm going to do is probably down here where it doesn't touch, because it's up against the flat part of the frame bracket, where it doesn't touch. If I need to, what I can do is drill and tap this thing and run a bolt out here that kind of self-supports that bracket just to the back of it, so that it's got kind of like a bump stop support on the back side of it, just to help hold it. It won't be seen, it's going to be buried under there, but I kind of wanted to maybe just curve the ends of it or do something. I might even taper it down a little bit just to make it look better. Maybe reduce a little weight. Not that I need to reduce a little weight, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just my anal thought process of trying to make the thing look better, even though nobody will ever see the damn thing. But anyways, that's the thought process, and this is the channel iron that I bought. Again, it's 4 by 1.5 inch, and it's pretty heavy for size 3/16 probably. But I'll bring you back. So we're over here to the truck, the rear frame, and this is where I extended the frame out. These are 4 of the bolts that hold that inner liner onto the original frame rail. But so I wanted to avoid interference issues with that. So what I've done is I'm going to be putting the first bracket, kind of in the center of those two bolts, not exactly in the center. I want to keep it shifted this way as much as possible. And then I came down here approximately 30 inches, and we'll put the second bracket in there. So I'm gonna get those things made up. I'm gonna get one of them made up and bring it over here and kind of, I don't know why that camera keeps twisting like that. Anyways, I'm gonna get one of the brackets made up, bring it over here, and I will test fit it on here, make sure that I like the location of it and everything is good. I'll bring you back. Okay, in one of the beginning clips of this video, I told you to remember those words that I said about raising those brackets up. So here is the tank mounted with the brackets and the channel iron stand-up pieces that I made. But I'm annoyed at myself. I told you in the video I had the brackets down lower onto the frame rails, and there was quite a bit of room, maybe an inch gap between the bottom of the sleeper and the top of the tank. What happened was I moved it up, but also I didn't have those strap mounts drawn in when I showed this to you. I just kind of had this thing sitting in place. I moved it up and I drew the straps in, and it raised it up higher than I thought it was gonna. So I had made another clip of this, and that's kind of what I was talking about in there, but I was really pissed at myself and told you that I was pissed at myself and called me some certain names, because there's something that I kind of paraphrased to my great-granddaughter. Sometimes we look, but we really don't see. We listen, but we really don't hear. Kind of what I've done here. I should have known that I needed to do certain things to get the correct height of this thing, the correct height that I wanted this thing at. And I really didn't do that. I just kind of jumped the gun and thinking that I had a good handle on knowing where it was going to be, and I really didn't. I looked, but I didn't see. Anyways, here's the tank mounted. I'm going to take you behind the truck, or I'll show you, take you in the front of the truck, show you the airbags, and discuss this a little bit also. By the way, I can make that tank elevation work. It's just that I was annoyed at myself because it didn't come out to the height that I anticipated it coming out to. As long as I'm on the subject of the haul truck, I picked this up yesterday. There's DOT air tubing that I'm going to be using for the suspension, the airbags on the truck. Now, air tubing for brakes and everything has to be DOT listed DOT tubing. I'm not really sure if the tubing for the air suspension has to be DOT listed. Again, I've never seen those books, and I don't even want to get into those books and having to go through it to figure it out. I'll just use DOT tubing in case, you know, all the air tubing, regardless of what it feeds or supplies on the truck, has to be DOT listed. But anyways, there it is, 1/4 inch DOT air tubing for the airbags. So one of the things that I was discussing with the airbags is that over here it's a fine fit. over here, between the pitman arm and the compressor and stuff, the airbag might not work in here. But the good thing is that I can take these airbags and use them in the back for the suspension in the back, and get smaller bags for up here in the front. One of the things I showed you, the tubing. So let's talk a little bit about the suspension system. There is a manufacturer that makes a solenoid operated air fill and relief system for this. Now on trucks, they have a load leveler for the air suspension in the back, and what it is a valve that you adjust the rod, and you can set the height of it so your drive line is at a set height. So in other words, unloaded, the truck is riding at a height that is optimal for the drive line configuration or the straightness of the drive line. If you load it, what happens is that it allows that valve to open up and pick the suspension back up to that same height again, even though it's loaded. That's all and good, but one of the things that I want is to be able to dump the rear suspension system out to hook and unhook two trailers. Now I could probably do that with an automatic ride height valve in there, but it would become complicated in the fact that I would have to shut off the air supply to that automatic valve, ride height valve, in order to dump. Because if I just dump the air out of the airbags, that automatic ride height valve is going to be putting air back into the airbags at the same time. So I would have to come up with a way of shutting that thing off. So I'm looking at a couple of different options. First of all, the truck is not going to have more than probably one driver, which is going to be me. So I could just, instead of having an automatic ride height valve, just adjust the air pressure in the rear suspension to get that optimal height, whether it's loaded or unloaded. I wouldn't have to worry about putting somebody else in the truck that doesn't know that and not adjusting the right height to the proper height. But so that's a couple of things that I'm going to be looking at. I've got to look at those bags, whether I can use them. I've got to just establish one thing. When I bought them bags, originally I bought Firestone bags. They called me up, S&D, Spring Supply, the people that I got the airbags off of called me up and says that the Firestones weren't available, but they had a compatible style that was the same specs as the Firestone. Now, I just want to go back and make sure, I'll look up that manufacturer, make sure that the load rating will support the rear suspension, and I can put them airbags in the rear and put smaller airbags in the front if I have to do that. But anyways, that's probably going to wrap it up for this segment of the video, or this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe.